All right, so I've been spending the last 3 weeks or so reading in the Old Testament, particularly Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy, the Pentateuch. And I actually just finished Deuteronomy today. And one of the things that I noticed in there, I got to be real honest with you, is that God seems a little harsh at times. He seems to dish out curses and judgment, and it doesn't seem like there's so much mercy and forgiveness. In fact, I believe it's in Numbers, where so many times God tells Moses and Aaron that they need to step aside so that God can destroy the people right where they stand. And it seems a little harsh. And so I got to thinking about, why does it seem that way to me? Is it because I'm so imperfect and I should fear something like that happening to me? What is the lesson really for us in those books? Particularly, Genesis has some great stuff in it, but in Exodus and Leviticus and Numbers and Deuteronomy, particularly in those books, what is the lesson for us today? And I got to thinking about how the people were slaves in Egypt, and they were in slavery for all these years, and God spoke to Moses through that burning bush, and he told him that, Moses, you're going to deliver these people. And so Moses goes out and he starts to deliver the people, and he goes to Pharaoh. Moses and Aaron go before Pharaoh, and they say, let my people go. And Pharaoh's heart is hardened by God, and he doesn't allow them to go and to worship. And so God shows all these crazy, miraculous signs to the people with all these plagues that he puts upon the Egyptians, but the Israelites aren't affected by any of that. But the Israelites could see that the Egyptians had this going on. Finally, after all of these plagues, Pharaoh tells Moses, get your people out of here, man. And they go through, and then Pharaoh proceeds after them. And they get to the Red Sea, and God tells Moses to hold up his staff, and Moses holds it up, and the sea just kind of splits and parts. And God tells them to walk across, and they're walking across. I think that would be so awesome to look around and be like, oh, look, right there's a fish. I just think that would be the coolest thing. But anyways, they're seeing all of these miraculous signs, and then all of a sudden, after a little while, they seem to forget all of that. And they say, we want food, and we need better water, and why'd you bring us out here? Things were so much better whenever we were in Egypt, forgetting that they were slaves. Don't you think that if God did all of that he had an amazing plan for them? And he did, if you read that story. God has this incredible plan. He's going to take them to a land flowing with milk and honey. He's going to take them to a land that is beautiful and has all that they need, and it will be their very own. And they're not going to be slaves anymore. It will be their land. I think the lesson here in all of this is that we've got to trust God. And we've got to be obedient. The people were constantly being disobedient. And so God punished them. They weren't trusting in God. And so they complained, saying they had it better in other places. There used to be this old hymn that we would sing when I was a little kid called Trust and Obey. Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus than to trust and obey. I think I constantly need that reminder, because life doesn't always turn out the way we have planned. But I've got to learn to trust and obey God. And it might be painful at times, just like it was for the Israelites. But God has a great plan for us. Hey, that's your thought for today. Have a great one.